So now let's get into not only creating, but managing expectations of clients. Now, Linda, we've talked a lot about neuroeconomics and behavioral finance. Talk about the issues as it applies to managing expectations and creating expectations with clients.
One of the things we have to remember, Phil, is that when we're dealing with a client, and especially at this phase of the blueprint where we're really looking at converting a prospect to a client, they come with expectations of their own that often have absolutely nothing to do with us. All of their prior experience in wealth advisory, and so much of our industry is focused, as we've mentioned before, really only on the numbers, really only on the financial part of a client's life. A certified wealth strategist, think about the idea of strategy. You know, you're like the general on top of the mountain kind of looking over the whole battlefield. And we've talked a lot about how all the different aspects of a client's life are actually affected by their financial decisions. So there's an excellent chance that we're going to just go deeper than that client has ever done before. And they have this anchor that that's not what this is about. So we really have to create the expectation. And I believe you have wonderful words about that.
Well, I think it's important to realize that expectation is also a limitation in their mind. You know, they have a somewhat limited idea of what you're capable of, what you might do, what you're going to go forward and share with them because of their past experiences. So as we think about meeting with someone that perhaps has been working with someone else, or we have only had the opportunity to work with them in a more limited way to this point in time, it's really important that we reset, reposition the way they look at us, see us, and understand how we need to be working going forward. I like to think of it from the standpoint of, you know, it's really, really important that they understand when they come to sit down with us to have a conversation that they're willing to share information. The one thing that limits our ability to be helpful is information. The more they share, the more helpful we can be.
Jeff, you said something there that triggers a thought, and I'd like to direct this back to Linda because I think it's behavioral and it's got to be embedded in the brain someplace, and that is that a client might not be willing to share much about their situation. They might be fearful of doing so. What could position a client to be in a situation of being unwilling to share complete information with somebody who's got a vested interest in helping them?
3 things, Phil. First, prior experience, that there's a very good chance that they've never had a conversation like this before. Second, what I would call sort of social norms, and this is true on both sides of the desk, that we often, in times past, would consider the conversation, how many children do you have, how are they, what are they interested in school, as small talk. Well, as certified wealth strategists, we know that's about as big as the talk gets. You know, you get down to how people feel about their children, how they feel about the business that they founded. These are intensely, as we've said before, emotional aspects. So we've got what is their prior experience, and then the second, you know, we sort of don't picture that as part of the meeting.
Right.
Like, why are we doing this before we get to the real stuff, which must be about my money? And then third, even though they're with us, they know that we are a wealth strategist, we live in a culture where people don't talk about money. So all of us have encountered, for example, the client who's going to keep his cards kind of close to his vest. Well, I'll tell you about, you know, some of this, but not all of it. And I want to remind you of the idea of mental accounting. I don't need to talk to you about insurance because you're my investment person. So we really need to set the table, as it were, so that they understand not only what is going to happen in the immediate future, but why we're doing it. You know, if you go all the way back to the very beginning of your certified wealth strategist experience, we have to start with why.
So your narrative really is the key point that opens the client's mind, or the prospect's mind in this case, to really opening up to you.